Again. Oh, all right, we're live. Welcome, Fearless Millionaires. It's an exciting day. A little bit of music for you before we begin. Have you seen the movie The Greatest Showman yet? Have you really, with Hugh Jackman? Have you seen it yet? Absolutely phenomenal. It's a great movie. I got to get it in the top 50. All right, it's an exciting day here today because there's a lot of history being made, and I'm glad you're joining in, checking this out, because I wanted you to be aware and wanted you to get first awareness that of what's happening in the marketplace. Really exciting day. We got an IPO that's launched today. History in the making, and wanted you to be aware of it. Whether you take action or not, I just wanted you to be aware of it. That's important because I care about you. Let me share my screen. We are creating history in the making here. There you go. You see my screen? We got Fundrise.com. Fundrise, they're having their IPO today. Let's throw the music in. Yeah, you see that? My timing is just going to be all off today. But the thing is, Fundrise is actually having their IPO today. Okay, what is Fundrise, you're probably asking, and why should you be investing in something like this? Let me just pause this. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, you're doing that now? Okay, that's interesting. All right. All right, so I want to tell you about Fundrise. If you haven't heard about Fundrise yet, you're hearing about them now. Glad you're joining in. So what Fundrise is actually the first. Let me take you to the history. Okay, let's bring up the history. They are the first company to bring securities online. The first, okay. So they first, in February 2011, they filed a patent for what's called estate crowdfunding. Okay, very, very awesome thing to have happen. History was made. All right, so they say they invented the idea of investing in real estate online 2 years before anyone else was even talking about it. And this is very true. They were the first ones to do the patent, but I do think a few other companies got to the forefront with their marketing a lot sooner. This is kind of like the whole Lyft and Uber battle. All right, so here we have another company. I'll just leave it go for now. But we have another company called Realty Mogul, who did a boatload of marketing and became like the first, became the first company to kind of get the awareness out there. However, their bar of entry was set at $5,000. So they kind of pull a lot of people back. They're like, $5,000, never did this before, yada, yada, yada. Okay, but what Fundrise did was they lowered the bar and they said you could get started with as little as $100. Now that really changed the game. So they, I look at Fundrise like the Lyft, of the Lyft of the transportation industry. They're not the Uber, but they're the Lyft. But I think what we're seeing now is because they've built a strong company, they knew what their long-term vision was. They're gaining a lot more ground than other websites, which is really great. So now here's something, if you didn't know this, the first ever $1 billion asset crowdfunded was the World Trade Center number 3, okay, the iconic 3. There's 3 buildings that are down there in Trade Center. That was a $2 billion project, and that was actually funded by Fundrise, all right? So that's a very unique thing, that's never, ever been done before. Now, a little bit more history here. In June, I know I just skipped around, but in June 2012, there was the first ever crowdfunded deal online that was done in 2012. And then just in 2015, they did the first creation of an e-REIT. Now, an e-REIT, normally REITs have been done privately, and first was only accredited investors. Only accredited investors could what should I say, cross the veil. Could only have the opportunity to pierce through the veil of investing. There's a lot of different investments out there that you don't know about, that you'll never hear about. They're called private offerings, and they're not public. And they're designed that way so that people of high caliber net worth can actually take action on it before everyone else. Is there a good reason for that? Absolutely. It doesn't mean you don't want, you don't want like a certain type of investor who may take all of their funds, their whole pot of funds, and invest it in something they're not familiar with. All this regulation was just to help the investor not get taken advantage of. So there's different levels of investors, which is a really good thing. It's a smart system. But actually in, I forget the year. 2015, there it is. In 2015, the Regulation A+ was passed. This was just a few years ago and after the funding was done. But Regulation A+ was done where now people can actually crowdfund for even business opportunities, which you've probably heard me talk about this in previous videos. Another really important opportunity through the SEC Securities Exchange Commission. All right, so now the first ever IPO, tech IPO, which stands for, they're calling it an internet public offering. Okay, it's normally initial or whatever. So this is now where you have the, people being able to fund real estate online. It's just absolutely awesome. This is what this is all about. And then what they launched recently on Fundrise was Urban Housing E-Fund, which is building up communities and new homes. So a lot going on. This is the difference here. This is a good chart, and you can see like it started off as real estate crowdfunding. Let's call it the path of progress, right? So we have real estate crowdfunding and e-REIT. Then we have Fundrise 2.0, which gives a lot of people the ability to invest online. And then we have E-Fund, which is directly building into new homes for the future. And now we have just something that's going to... Why did that shut off? So we just have something that is just going to revolutionize the future of investing in the stock market. So now I wanted to jump down to here. These are some stats that they've had by the numbers here since 2014. So those are some of their personal stats, the company stats. But here's kind of what I want to show you what's really important. I hope this music's not too loud for you. So here's a good example. You have number one, you have startup companies that you haven't heard of yet. Those are companies that you may only know through, unless you're really, really like, honed in. Sometimes these startup companies are only like through family members and friends, very private. Private networking is really where this is at. Sometimes if you're going to expos, you can really get familiar, like investing expos, lending expos, investment expos. You can kind of get the first people that are just coming up, or family members, friends, and that kind of stuff, colleagues. You'll hear about those startups. Then you have the growth phase, which is right here at number 2. We're giving you the chance to invest at a much earlier than usual to have a shot, and this is what the IPO is all about. So this is what your opportunity here to invest with Fundrise is. Not just one of their funds. It's actually you're investing in the Fundrise company itself. It's an IPO. This is like the fund before the stock market. This is the fund before the big fund. This is the fund before public, right? So if you look at number 3, for example, which is called Scalability, large profit companies that have reached scale but have chosen to stay private, meaning you cannot invest. So for example, no one right now can invest in Uber or an Airbnb. And those are 2 very large, expansive companies. But if we look at something like on step number 4 here, if you look at something like Amazon and Facebook, these companies have gone public. So you have the opportunity to invest in these companies and own a part of them. Now, this is where number 2, the growth phase, is where Fundrise is at. This is even before Scalability, before profit, before even going public. They are in the growth phase. So they're actually letting us in and saying, hey, you have the opportunity to invest in our technology company secured by our real estate platform, right? It's just for me, it's technology and real estate married together. And to me, that's a beautiful marriage. So that's a really cool thing. So basically what's happening with this IPO is you have the opportunity, you're buying shares in the company, just as if you would if you were buying shares in the stock market. If you were buying shares of Amazon, you are basically buying shares of what's called the Rise Companies Corporation. Okay, that's the company that you're investing in. Now, you do not have any control of what's done. If they choose to sell, if they whatever they choose to do, you're just an investor and you're getting your rate of return. Okay, so you don't have any opportunity to make any decisions within the company. So here is I'm sure everyone wants to know when can you see a profit. That's always an important thing. So this is a long-term investment with no guarantee of profit. Remember that. There should be never a guarantee, and you should be very, very leery when someone tells you that there is a guarantee of profit, and that's a very high risk, and you should be very concerned when someone tells you, yeah, if you invest, you're definitely going to earn whatever X number of money back, and it's guaranteed by, whatever it is they're guaranteeing. Just be careful. Guarantees are very, very risky. So, the only two things you can be guaranteed in life are taxes and death, just in case you were wondering. All right, so subject to market conditions, we may consider a sale or registered initial public offering, IPO, in 3 to 5 years. Now, if it does go to an IPO, like a registered IPO, which would be the stock market, that would be fantastic, in my opinion. I think if Fundrise now we're in the funding stages and you literally can get in for like $6 a share, that's like super cheap. It's not penny stocks, but it's still cheap. And you get in early and then you have the opportunity to, if they go public, that's just going to take shares to a whole nother level. Now, I'm actually invested in about, I don't even know, probably like 5 REITs. And all of them hold steady, like I want to say anywhere between as low as $20 per share to as high as about $150. You are not going to have a real estate REIT that is going to like do what Amazon's doing, or it's just not going to happen. Real estate is a very slow and strong trending investment. Now, of course, there's the bubbles, and there's going to be times it goes down. But real estate always tends to grow and appreciate and have good traction over the course of years. It's not really sexy. It's not one like Bitcoin or anything like that. It's not a really sexy, attractive thing, but it's very secure. It's very secure. So that's really a great thing. And what makes this really interesting and exciting is because we're now taking technology and real estate, such as even REITs, which was, again, like I said earlier, normally just for certain individuals, we've now made it available. We've democratized real estate into a whole nother level, real estate investing. So if you ever thought about getting involved in real estate, I did another video for you guys, look just like literally last week. Check that out. It was about investing in real estate publicly, but also investing in businesses publicly, and low barrier to entry. Literally, you can start with like $100. So go check out those other videos. This is where you're investing specifically, as of today, in Fundrise and what they're doing. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you and kind of promoting it is because Fundrise is the grandfather of this tech. I don't want to call it just technology, but the opportunity. They are like literally the godfather of crowdfunding for real estate. So that's why I'm encouraging you to be involved if you have any interest in investing in long-term gains, so in long-term real estate. So let's talk about risks, because that is an important thing. As Rise Companies Corporation is a high-growth technology company, investing in our common stock involves a number of risks that should only be considered by sophisticated investors who understand the risks involved and can withstand the loss of their entire investment. Let me make that clear. Do I have to read it again? Because listen, you should not be, because it's a technology company, okay? You should be concerned and just understand, even skeptical, right, Not about the validity of the company, like if it's a real company. No, they're producing. I've been investing with Fundrise for quite some time and earned my dividends. But the thing just to keep in mind is you could lose all your money. That's what is basically the risk. Just keep that in mind. There's no guarantee, and you could lose all your investment. Simple as that. And that's with any investment, by the way. That's just part of investing. You're going to have wins, you're going to have losses, but don't sit on the sideline. You should have been investing 10 years ago. So all investors should carefully review the risk factors section of the offering circular. Now, I'm going to pop this open for you. This is all the legal jargon that can bore you or put you to sleep. I'm actually falling asleep just opening this browser tab. For real, that's how boring this stuff can be. I'm kidding. I'm not really tired. I'm actually really excited because this is a great opportunity that I'm already invested in, and it gives you the opportunity to get invested if you wish also. But this is actually the documents, the formal the circular documents about what's happening. This is the terms and conditions, the black and white, the fine print, the devil's in the details, paperwork that you can look at. What's really cool is that it's all digital. One time I was like, this is probably like, how many years ago? 8 years ago, maybe? 8 years ago, I got documents like this thick from an IPO, and it was the circular, and it was just like, God, I didn't even want to read it. I don't even think I read past the past 3 pages. So this just kind of gives you all the details. If you have any interest in this kind of stuff, you can read through it if you want to. Boring, but anyway, if you have any interest in that. So let me just explain what's the difference between an IPO and from an E-REIT, something that they provide, E-REITs, what Fundrise provides. So this is an opportunity to invest in the internet public offering of Rise Companies Corporated, okay? It's a Fundrise IPO. So you're investing in the company of Rise Companies Corporation, a technology company. It's the parent company of Fundrise. Okay, so it's the parent company. And then within Fundrise is the crowdfunding site that provides crowdfunding for E-REITs and all the other investments that are under that umbrella. Okay, and the sponsor of E-REIT, as I just kind of said. Rise Companies Corporation is a high-growth technology company. Okay, I'm going to say that again. It's a technology company. You are not investing in real estate with this IPO. You're investing in a technology company. Like, make that clear, because this is like the umbrella, right? So you got Rise Companies Corporation IPO, and then anything that Fundrise has done under that is through E-REITs or through their offerings of real estate. So you are not investing in real estate here. This is an IPO for a technology company. Want to make that super clear, because sometimes I get people ask me these questions and I'd be like, did you hear what I said? So in contrast, an E-REIT, gosh, they're actually, I'm like speaking before I read. I should just read it, right? Let me just read it. In contrast, an E-REIT is a real estate investment trust which owns or intends to own a diversified pool of commercial real estate assets. When you invest in an E-REIT, your potential returns come from the real estate related activity, like rent or property sale, which then are distributed in the form of dividends, whereas when you invest in Rise Companies Corporated, your potential returns would come not from dividends, but from any growth in the value over time of the Fundrise platform. Let me repeat that again. This is not an investment secured by real estate paying out dividends. It is not. This is an IPO for the technology company, the parent company of Rise Companies Corporation. All right? Which is the mother of the babies of Fundrise. And this is not an E-REIT. This is not a real estate investment. If you do want to invest, you don't have to invest in this technology company. If you did want to invest in E-REITs, then you become a member of Fundrise, which is free to join. And then you can start investing for as little as $100. Okay, you can start investing. You could do automatic investing and all that good stuff. But this gives you the opportunity to be in the IPO for this technology company. Come along, come join me. What are you going to do with the money you raise? Okay, good question. What are fundraising? Let me read that again. We are fundraising to increase our capitalization and financial flexibility. We plan to use the funds for general corporate purposes, which could include expanding our team, building new products, and growing our user base. For additional detail, go to the offering. Now, let me just scroll up for a minute here just to kind of show you their stats from 2014, okay? So I'm going to just kind of take you from 2014 of April to July 2017. It's a 3-year period. They've basically tripled their employees in their company, right? Remember, we're talking about company here. We're not talking about real estate. So this IPO is based on company stats. As you can see, this is their growth in the past 3 years. They've gone from 22 million to 1.36 billion in 3 years. So that is a 5,900%, 17% growth. So real estate transactions during that time, they have gone from nine deals, okay, 9 investments to 110 investments in 3 years. That is whatever quadruple times growth, 1,000% growth, as you can see. They went from 556 investors. I think I was investor 625 or something like that. I remember this message came up or I got an email. But at April 2014, 556. July, they're at 16,000. That's almost 3,000% growth. That's huge. That's just huge. I believe that number is definitely going to increase in the next 2 to 3 years, especially with the amount of marketing they're going to be putting into the company as well. Because like I said, I don't think Fundrise was the first one to they were the first one to the show, but they weren't the first one that sold the most tickets. That's the best way to put it. But I really do think they're going to, because they're now in scale mode. They're definitely, they're in growth mode, and they're going to go to scalability. So that's why I think that is going to happen here. This looks at the average investor account. So this is showing you the average investor account through Fundrise typically has about since April 2014, they typically had about $3,700 in it. Now the typical average account has about $11,000. So for example, like I said, you don't have to have $100,000. You don't have to have $10,000. You can literally start investing with just a little bit of money. But those are the stats there. And then again, the number of employees has increased about 250%. So it's great that they showed you that. Here is some Q&A. If you have any, questions about this, I know I'm kind of maybe scrolling over it fast, but you can check this out at Fundrise. Well, actually, no, you can't. You cannot go to fundrise.com and see this information. This is actually exclusive Fundrise IPO information. So what you can do is you can sign up for Fundrise regardless and become an investor, because this is actually they're announcing this only to their members. So if you have any interest in investing in an IPO through a solid company who's done billions in funding, then you would probably want to consider this company. So you can sign up through fundrise.com, and when you log into your dashboard, you will see the IPO information, kind of like you're seeing on my screen right now. So be sure to check that out. I wanted you guys to know this first and have the opportunity to invest in this IPO. I think it's going to be really phenomenal. And I like I said, it's marriage between technology and real estate. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comments below, and I'll try to get those answered for you. Glad you could join me on this video, and hope you're out there getting started in investing in some way. Remember, you should have been investing 10 years ago. Don't wait anymore. Get out there and get started. Take some form of action, or if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace!